How to file taxes as an Uber driver. What is an independent contractor? It's someone who's a self-employed person, not an employee. And independent contractors receive Form 1099, while employees, on the other hand, receive a W-2 for wages earned. Another important point, business income from your rideshare business is posted to Schedule C of the contractor's personal tax return. Here are some of the forms that most independent contractors must complete. Schedule C summarizes all of your business income and expenses, goes on Form 1040, personal return. Schedule SC, self-employment tax, is how rideshare people pay Social Security and Medicare taxes. And an independent contractor is responsible for both the employee and the employer's share of the tax. Important to know. But fortunately, Schedule 1 of Form 1040 allows you to deduct half of the Schedule SE self-employment tax as a deduction for your business. This is an example of Form Schedule SE, profit and loss for business, just so you get an idea of the tax form you're going to see in your return. Part 1 is income, which would include rideshare income, and Part 2 are expenses. This is a partial list of some of the expenses you may incur. Form 1099, independent contractors receive 1099. And it's important to note that the form is changing. For tax year 2019, you'll get a 1099 miscellaneous, MISC. Tax year 2020, you're going to get 1099 NEC, which stands for non-employee compensation. The form will change just slightly. This is an example of the 2020 form. And if you look at box 1 at the top right, you'll see non-employee compensation. That's where your rideshare income payments are going to come into. And again, the 2019 form looks very similar. Mileage is a big expense if you're in a rideshare business, and you can use either the actual expense method or the standard mileage rate. But you should note that the treatment is different depending on whether you own a car or lease a car. If you own a car and want standard mileage, you can start using that method in the first year that you own the car, and then in later years you can choose either method. But if you lease a car and start using standard mileage, you have to use that mileage method for the entire part of the lease. So you don't have flexibility like you do with owning a car. Important note. On the left, we have actual expenses that you can take for the cost of your car versus on the right, standard mileage. The point here is that as you look at this list, actual expenses requires a tremendous amount of record keeping, while the standard mileage is simple. For 2019, it's 58 cents a mile for each mile driven, and it's a simple calculation that limits record keeping. Here are some other expenses you may elect to deduct. It's a partial list including liability insurance, meals, portion of your cell phone costs. This is a partial list. And a big one is that the mileage deduction may be your largest expense, and it's important to understand the start and the ending point for recording mileage for tax purposes. Now, we use apps for Uber and Lyft and other rideshare companies to keep track of this, but make sure that you understand, based on IRS information that you get, information from the rideshare company, just how they're calculating the to and from mileage. You can see, for example, the second sentence, you complete all of your rides and drive home. It's a great idea to start out where the money is. Just be aware, if you're taking the standard mileage deduction, that mileage may not have been calculated. So it's also important to know, pay attention to that mileage app and make sure it's starting and stopping at the right time. Self-employment insurance, if you're self-employed, purchase your own health insurance, you may be eligible to deduct some of those premiums that you pay against your income. You'll get tax documents, including a document, a year-end summary from the rideshare company. We'll see Uber's in just a minute. 1099 miscellaneous we mentioned. And another note that if you're paid $600 or more, you're going to get a 1099, but even if you're paid less than $600 and do not get Form 1099 miscellaneous, you still pay income on those payments. And finally, 1099K, which deals with on-trip gross earnings. And beginning in 2008, Uber and Lyft only issued these documents if you earn more than $20,000 in passenger delivery payments and provided a certain number of rides that we'll see here on the next slide from Uber. So this is Uber's tax summary document. You can pull it from the website. So you see on the right, completed trips, online mileage, below gross earnings, expenses and fees, and your net payout. You'll also note that the document's due to you on January 31st of the year following the tax year, which is the same as the 1099 form. So pay attention to this form too, most importantly because it deducts the expenses that Uber is charging you and that you need to get on your tax return. 1099 form, again, this is pulled from Uber. Every Uber partner receives a monthly tax statement, and if you earn $600 or more, you get a 1099. But even if you drove $300 and got paid $300 for the year, you would still include the $300 in your income. Remember that you can use our site to get all kinds of information on being in the rideshare business, to be more profitable, to make smarter decisions, and earn more money. Thanks very much for watching.